Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I'm laughing because I just did not see this coming. Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's B. Avery here for another episode of Just My Opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And with this episode right here, we are talking about Watchmen Season 1, Episode 7, titled Great Googly Moogly. No, that's not the title. It's actually titled An Almost Religious Awe. And if this is your first time finding me and you want more movie reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps like Watchmen, me responding to entertainment news or just anything I think is cool, please right now click on that subscribe button, also the bell, so you can be notified when I make uploads. Man, let's go ahead and get into this. So y'all know that you've seen any of my previous Watchmen recaps that I've enjoyed the show for the most part. But I was a little disappointed with some things that happened in episode 6. Also, I didn't really care for how they were treating Calvin, Angela's husband, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. But we're going to talk about that, but we're going to save that to the end. But this is another great episode. You know, usually when I watch my stories, I like to see progression. I like to see stories go forward. Flashbacks and, things of that nature are not, my best cup of tea. But if it's done well, if it's executed in a good way, I'm on board with it. And that is one thing that I have to say about this Watchmen show is, the whole episode 6, the whole thing was pretty much a flashback, bouncing back and forth to present day. But this is another flashback as well, talking about the upbringing of Miss Angela Abar, Regina King. And my goodness gracious, she had a rough life. She really did. I mean, you can tell in present day that she's a product of her environment. We all are, and it really does show. And I just got to give it to this little girl who's playing the younger Angela. She is just like the cutest little thing ever. Like, oh my goodness gracious. I mean, seriously, she is adorable. She's a great actress as well. I'm trying to find her name. I probably should have looked it up, but I don't see it right here on IMDb. But I mean, she is great. But let's go ahead and just get into it. First off, I'm not a parent, so I always try to tailor myself when I'm talking about how parents should raise their children and things of that, things like that. But when they are at the very beginning of the episode and they're in Saigon, what in the world? Why in the world are Angela's parents letting her just walk around like this by herself, going across the street, around the corner, in the store, and they over here just chilling in the lawn? I'm like, wait a minute, this is crazy. Now, I mean, I know that's a different part of the land, different part of the world, and I mean, it can't be safe because, we have kamikaze people doing suicide bombings and things of that nature, which unfortunately is how Angela's parents, met their demise. But I was just kind of saying, like, she almost got hit by a bike twice. I'm like, what in the world? Like, why are y'all letting her walk around like this by herself? There's no way in hell I would let my daughter, my son, unless they 6'3", 200 plus. I'm kidding there, but yeah, I think you get what I'm kind of trying to say. But I mean, it looked good, but that was just kind of like beyond me right there. But even before that, we got the flashback of John Austin, Dr. Manhattan as a little boy, and that reminded me of the Watchmen movie that came out in the early 2000s, of course, with Zack Snyder. Of course, the footage didn't look exactly the same, but we got the footage of Dr. Manhattan going over to Vietnam and, winning the war for the United States. And, I kind of like how they do that. And at the end of that preview, that's when we pull back and we see the flashbacks of Angela as a little girl. And we also see that she had the VHS tape, the VCR tape for Sister Night. I didn't know where that came from. I just thought they was referring to sister, like, what's up, my sister, like, referring to a black woman or, our culture or whatever. But it was Sister Night, and a nun, I'm assuming a black nun dressed up in dressed up as a superhero, a vigilante, going around, with her pistol or whatever. And that's kind of like, what motivated Angela, to take on that moniker, to take on that name when she grew up or whatever. Another reason why I say that she is really a product of her environment, And it was funny, like I was able to relate to her as well as she walked to her parents with the little tape behind her back and then pulled it out the last minute. I'm not a thief. I've never stole anything before in my life, but I did on accident one time because, when you're a little kid, when you're trying to ask for like a toy or something in the store, I always used to get frustrated that when I would be running up to my mom, they're like, hey, can you buy me this? They would even say no before I got 10 to 15 feet in front of them or even open my mouth. So one time it was like a little Batman pen. And that's back in the day where everybody was wearing like tube socks up to their kneecaps. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the pen in my sock and then walk up to my mom and she won't see it and then pull it out and ask her for it at the last minute, well, what I did was I was trying to do that. When I got up to her, Brandon, hold on, I'm talking. And Mama, tugging, Brandon, don't you see me and some adults are talking right now? Wait your turn. Don't be rude or whatever, da da da. So I forgot that it was in my sock. And, so I forgot to ask and then went home and it was still in my sock. And I noticed it when we was in the car, the van. And I was like, dang, I stole something on accident. Got my butt whooped like nothing before. But anyway, I don't want to digress too much. But I was able to relate to baby Angela as she was, walking back, with the tape behind her back. And, her dad was like, they was laughing at her like, oh, I knew she would try. And it was like, yeah, she sure did. So that was just kind of like funny to me. But, Angela, we see that she's very inquisitive or whatever. She was really paying attention to the bomber and what was going on is everybody just, la da 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 da, having a good time out there, with all of their Dr. Manhattan merchandise, like this is just a new superhero. Some people love him. Some people hate him. And she was able to witness the bomber and it just really sucks that her parents just got blown away. Like that, but it was pretty sad. And even before that, I liked the music that they had going on. I think that was James Brown, Living in America. I was I was bobbing my head or whatever. But when Angela blows up, or she gets knocked back, that's where we go back into present day. And then we see that Angela is awake in Lady True's facility getting the treatment or whatever with the tubing all in her arm with the IV. And when I remember when I was seeing the last week at the end of episode 6, the trailer for this episode 7, it really just didn't seem that interesting to me, but I was wrong. And it wasn't just the reveal at the end of the episode. I was into this thing the whole time. Just like, okay, she went from being in a prison jail cell to now getting treatment by, Lady True. Lady True came in there and I think she said she gave her steroids and that's when she got that other dream like you just took somebody's nostalgia and the roles start unveiling. And I just like all those visuals and things of that nature. And I was also kind of just saying to myself like, okay, like wait a minute, like are you free now? This doesn't make sense. You should still be under arrest for covering up the murder of Don Johnson's character, Jude Crawford. But no, we got Red Scare, and I don't know the other name of the cop that was out there. I like her fishnet mask though. That was kind of frightening and sexy at the same time. Just got to be honest with you there. So that's cool. But Lady True is a very interesting figure. I like her character. She can, she's different, I guess, but I like it and I respect her character. Like, I got this millennium clock and it's getting down to the countdown and I'm trying to save humanity and all that good stuff. But then we see Calvin, he's coming up trying to see his wife. And that's when we run into, Red Scare and then, where is Agent Blake? And then we get over to the scene where I think his name is Petey or something, or that's what, Laura Blake calls him. Down in Looking Glass's facility in this bunker, we have the 7th Cavalry down there all murdered and stuff like that, but we don't know where Looking Glass is because the last time we saw him was in episode 5, right before he revealed to Angela that he threw her under the bus. And so now we see his facility and he got a bunch of murderers down, white supremacist terrorists down in this bunker dead. He's not down there, as Petey said. And so later on in the episode, it was revealed that the 7th Cavalry are going to be trying to capture Dr. Manhattan. I wonder if he knew about it. I don't know. I have no idea, to be honest with you. I'm not going to speculate too much. We're just going to have to wait and see. I believe we have 2 episodes left. But after this is where we get up to no, there was a line of dialogue where I can't remember who said it. I think it was Laura Blake. Where, oh yeah, when we get up to what is his name here? Mr. Crawford, Jude Crawford's Don Johnson's character, to his house, and she's like, "Hey, I know his wife's name is Jane. Like, hey, I know who killed your husband. It was Will," and she basically figured out the white supremacist plan. Now, when I was saying this to myself, I wouldn't have got it on the first click, maybe not the second, but after that, I would have just darted for the door like, whoa, what the hell is going on? Laura Blake, you were just too relaxed. She was like, well, that was the plan. And she just, she was like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What the fuck are you trying to do? Are you trying to kill me? And then I'm like, man, I would have been out of there. I don't know. I don't watch too many movies and TV shows to know, when the kitchen is getting hot or whatever, but man, they were really serious. They had a trap door in their floor or whatever. That's just, this mic is driving me crazy. That was just like really weird to me, and she said a line that was just so true to me. She said, white men in masks are heroes, but black men in masks are villains or bad people. You're gonna take out the mask. It's, white people or white men are just considered like the saviors in society, and black men, oh my God, I fear for my life. So they're really tailoring. I can't talk today. Tailoring to black people, with this show. But when the trapdoor goes down, that's when we get the Senator Joe Keene in there. And this dude, of course, is another white supremacist. He's like, what I like in this scene is, Silver Spectre, Laura Blake, when he was about to start talking, I love this, Don. Like, she was just like, look, dude, please do not read me your plan. I don't care. I don't give a damn. Blah, blah, blah. I love that because, we see that a lot. Like, and we're going to retake what's ours. And even though he did make that point, I just like the exposition in the scene and the way that the line was delivered. It was fresh. We still got the typical comic book, villain twirling his mustache, but it was just delivered in a different way. And I like that, like been there, done that, blah, 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 blah. Let's get on. But this dude is just saying that, hey, we're not racist. We're just trying to restore the balance or whatever, because, being a white man in this country is just getting more and more difficult. Dude, these white supremacists are serious. They really feel that way. It is not hard to be a white man. It may be harder for you to be a blatant racist and, with all your white supremacist tactics and things of that nature, but that's not justice. They feel that equality is oppression, like if they, like Nellie Fuller says it, all the time. One of the points of white supremacy is the main one. And Dr. Francis Chris Wilson said this: they're afraid of their genetic annihilation. But, another thing about white supremacy, with birth rates, dying and, with their birth rates being low, and they're not liking that every time a white person and a black person has sex, it's predominantly a black baby. Hey, I didn't do it. But, for fun, glory, and material comfort, that's what Nellie Fuller says all the time. And so that is just being taken away from them. They want to be on top for fun, for glory, and material comfort. The man said it himself in the show. So, get mad at HBO. And it's just nuts, man, just how they feel that way. But, I cannot wait to see how this whole thing is just going to play out. I mean, I'm so into this. But then we have, going back to the facility with Lady True, we have Beyond coming in there, and she's holding up her little pictures. She has always been like, Lady True is not weird to me, but her daughter Beyond is. But at the same time, we found out that that's not her daughter. That's her mother. And the way that Angela was, like, the acting was just great in the scene. Like, I was just laughing my ass off. She was just like, you're an effing crazy person. Just like, damn, woman. But she still wants to answer. So she's going to talk and converse with her or whatever. And she's like, oh, so you're going to save the world and you're going to turn on your big fancy gizmo and da-da-da-da. And Lady True was like, well, when you say it like that, it does sound ridiculous. And she just like, this lady is nuts, like, what is wrong with you? But I really can't wait to see what's going to happen with this Millennium Clock and like what it's going to do, because I think in this episode they said at the beginning it was like we have 9 hours, then we have like 4 hours or whatever, and Angela's tripping balls or whatever. She's like, look, I want to see my not my dad but my grandfather, what's going on. It's like, look, you just experienced him for like a few days, you know what I'm saying? You just chill out, take this treatment, everything will be okay. And my thing is this, let me ask y'all this. And I just say this, and this goes to everybody that fits into this situation. If your parents or your parents, your legal guardians, your loved ones that raised you is no longer here, I'm very, very sorry. I can sympathize with you, but I can't empathize, because I'm lucky, I'm blessed that my parents are still here. God bless. And I want them to be here as long as possible. So, and I have a lot of friends, like, man, with my friends that I went to college with, about 5 of them have lost their mother and or father within the past 1.5 to 2 years. And it's just sad, that they're not here anymore. And I bring it up to ask is because in the episode, Lady True said that, well, I'm about to reach my life goal here, and don't judge me, basically, because I want my parents here to be with me. And, that's important, and then, while it may seem crazy, and Angela was like, you're an effing crazy person, I can't relate to that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, I know this is fiction, guys, but let's just pretend that Lady True is a true person. I mean, a real life person, like, I don't know what she's going through and what she came up with or didn't come up with. So is it really crazy? If you had the technology to do that, if your parents died, at a well before their time. And what I mean by that is, everybody, if you have a nice, fulfilling life, and that's your surroundings, I would assume that everybody wants to live, up until their 70s, 80s, 90s, or whatever. But if you had the technology to, if your parents passed away and you was able to clone them and they grew up and still have their memories, so you can still have some tie to them, would you do that? Would you be open to that? I'm just curious. So I'm just curious or whatever. But going back to a flashback of Angela as a little girl, the lady in there in the orphan home, the way she was just mistreating her pissed me off, pulling her by the ear. I just wanted, her to get knocked out. But when they take her out to the police, what is it, to give, I can't think right now, but to give a witness to the bomber or whoever the bomber, the suicidal maniac was tied to, she was like, I'm not scared. The acting in that scenes for the little girl was just great to me. And she was like, can I listen? It's like she already knew that they was finna execute this person, and she wanted to witness that because she was like, these people took away my parents or whatever. And when they took him around there and shot her, you saw her jump like that, and then she smiled like she was like, yes, I got some justice. But she also just seemed kind of frustrated, like, damn, I not only did I want to hear it, I wanted to see it too. And I can see all of that in her facial expressions, but then, right after that, that's when we had, or not right after that, but later on in the episode, that's when we have Joan growing up. And that was like hinted at the end of episode 6. And it was great to see her or whatever, because, later on, like in the past few episodes where Angela was at the facility at the acorn tree to get her answers, she didn't have all these answers. And so, well, briefly, but she got to meet her grandmother for just a little bit. And when she was like, does this lady talk to you, yell at you like this all the time? And I just wanted her to hit her or cuss her out or something like that. But, she didn't. She wasn't going to do that. She was like, I'm your grandmother. I'm going to take care of you. And, they're getting along at the table. And Angela just seemed so happy. Like, yes, I'm saved. And, somebody loves me. I don't have to be scrubbing floors and, all that good stuff. But, and little baby Angela could just not get a break. That was just so sad. I guess she had another heart attack, I don't know. And just like the way she was just looking at her grandmother's body down there on the ground, I was just like, man, that sucks. And she was going to spoil her grandchild too. I mean, she was having a nice little hamburger with lettuce and tomatoes, and she was just eating it all up. I was like, oh, this is so cute right here. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. And, I haven't always heard this, but I've heard from a good number of educated people to where they say is that when it comes to your past, no matter if it's good or bad, it's always best to know it, because it always helps you develop, as a human being as you grow up as time goes on. So I was a little turned off at the same time to where, because June's relationship wasn't the best with her son, Angela's father, Angela did not know her next of kin and barely got rescued by her grandmother. But her grandmother was coming, giving her backstory. But at the same time, when baby Angela was like, hey, do I have a grandfather? June didn't want to answer that question. She just changed the subject. And I'm like, wait a minute. I understand that you may not like Will. And that was one of the ththings I didn't really care for in episode 6 when she left him. They didn't give no rhyme or reason why. Now, if it was because he cheated or was cheating, okay, can we get some type of imagery or dialogue or exposition explaining that? But I didn't like that. But she passes away. A little baby Angela just cannot get a break, and that was just kind of crazy to me. Now, as far as what's going on with Jeremy Irons' character and Ozymandias, that's such an offshoot from what's going on with the main story. I didn't hate the scene, but I didn't care for it either. But I'm just really waiting for that tie-in with everything else, because I didn't watch the show. I didn't read the comic, but if you watch the movie Watchmen, that Ozymandias is a main important character. So, and we all know that Dr. Manhattan put him there in that prison camp. And it was like the timeline is different there. There's like 365 days have gone by, so, that's just kind of interesting there. But we're getting up to the end of going back. Angela was connected to an elephant. I don't really understand that. If you do, please let me know down in the comment. I would have freaked out too, or whatever, if I saw if I saw myself being, connected, to an elephant or whatever. But also in the episode early on, when Lady True and Angela were talking, they were talking about the car crash. And I'm assuming that with Calvin, Angela's husband, and I'm assuming that's what they meant as far as his memory or their memory being wiped or whatever. And of course, I'm going to get to all that in a second. So that was revealed at the end too. And just one more thing before I get to the end is it's like, with all of Lady True's accomplishments, I like that she was admitting that, her nostalgia pill, her drug, her invention was a failure. I just kind of respected her for that. But then we're coming up to the end to where Angela is in that she escapes. She goes up the elevator. She goes in the room, and her and Lady True are conversing, having their lines of dialogue, and she sees the giant globe of the thousands of booths around the world for people to contact Dr. Manhattan. And I just like Lady True's like, are we going to just stop messing with each other? And she's like, look, the plan is that I have this millennium clock that's going to save the day. And Angela's like, I don't want to hear you going to save the world or whatever. Save the day. And she was like, look, your father. And she was like, did you put that idea or something in? No, she was like, Dr. Manhattan, he's not listening because he's not on Mars. He's down here in Tulsa or, pretending to be a regular human being. And then Angela was like, this is part that confused me and I need y'all's help. Or whatever. And then I watched this episode twice and I still don't understand. So I don't talk crap. But she was like, are you the one that put the idea in my father's head? Not my grandfather's head, Will's head. What idea? Did Will reveal that in a previous episode? He probably did, but I just don't remember. I think he did when he was in the wheelchair. He was always been in the wheelchair, just saying, Dr. Manhattan is walking around us. I may be mistaken, but let me know. And Lady True was like, no, he put that in my head. He came to me because I had the resources to save the world. And so somehow, I guess Will told Lady True that the 7th Cavalry tree, who are Cyclops, is going to try to steal Manhattan, destroy him, and become him. And that'll be dangerous, of course. Yeah, duh. The 7th Cavalry, the Cyclops white supremacist group, having the powers of Dr. Manhattan, they would be unstoppable. We can't let that happen. And then she was like, yo, are you going to stop effing with me? Because, in an hour, they're going to capture him. I'm like, wait a minute. If you have a plan to stop them, Lady True, and you know that they're going to be doing this in an hour, why are you not there trying to help or protect? I mean, is the Millennium Clock going to go off like in less than an hour? I don't understand that. Like, when was you going to let Angela know? I mean, you're a smart lady. Okay. You're a trillionaire and you are intelligent with all this stuff that you've created. I mean, did you just know that Angela was going to go? I don't understand like how you wouldn't be like, okay, let's hide Calvin. Let's hide Cal. Yes, I have my plan here, but we all know we need backup plans on backup plans and backup plans. Plan A, B, C, D, all the way to Z. So I just didn't understand that. She was like, in an hour, they're going to capture him, and, that's when Angela ran home in a hurry to go do something about it. Another thing, when they were there, when Angela got home, but she didn't ask for whatever. So I'm like, okay, did she know? And so apparently she did when she beat her husband over the head. But I'm just like, did you know the whole time, or was this revealed to you? So, and like, it's so when she rushed home, of course, the 7th Cavalry was already there with the binoculars staking out the place. She's rumbling around looking for some type of device to, get him out and, with the hammer. First of all, this scene right here looked like a scene out of the Kathy Bates 1990 movie, The Misery, where she just crazy as hell. She was like, I wish I had I usually have a hammer at my desk for some reason when I'm hanging up stuff, but it's not here. She just looked like she was just cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, like, it's time to come out the tunnel. I would have been like, man, wait a minute, baby. What I do? Forget to pay the rent, the light bill? What you got the hammer for? You know what I'm saying? He just like, I love you too. I'm like, whoa. She just seemed crazy. And it's just, it was this nut. You're a great husband. You're a great father. I love you. You're my best. I'm like, Cal was like, I'm like, Cal, man, why you not scared, bruh? Like what's going on? Get the kids, get out the house. You know what I'm saying? This is nuts or whatever. So I want to know, did Angela know the whole time that her husband was really Dr. Manhattan, or was this some trigger word from Lady True to where she revealed this? Was it the treatment that woke her up and made her realize this? I don't know. But he was just talking about, like, she was saying, like, okay, Cal was like, did this happen before the accident? And she was like, there was no accident or whatever. And he's like, what are you talking about? So she was like, if there's any consolation, this was your idea. So even judging the preview for episode 8, when they're at the table and he's like, I love you. And she's like, when did you fall in love with me? You just met. And he was like, I don't have the concept of before, because he can experience present. If you know from the Watchmen movie or the comic, that Dr. Manhattan can experience the present day, present time, the past, and the future all at the same time. It really doesn't matter to him. It's just weird to still wrap my head around that. And so I get they fell in love, and he just be falling in love with everybody. He didn't have like many women. So it was his idea, like, okay, if we're going to be together, of course I can't go around as Dr. Manhattan. So let's wipe my memory and implant this device in my head to suppress my memory and my powers. And we can say that I came from a car accident or something like that. That's when she was like, there was no accident. But I really want to know, how long did Angela know this, or what made her want to do this now? Or just, help me out in the comments. But I'm very intrigued. But when she hit him over the head, I didn't know what was going on at first. I was like, no, what's going on? Are you like, you can't be crazy. Like he was like, these drugs are messing you up. But they pull the thing out, and that's when he starts glowing or whatever. And so, man, I was so mad that how they was treating, his character, just making him weak, a better male. But this dude ends up being one of the most powerful people in the universe. So it still would have been nice to have some type of black love on the show, which I don't. Doesn't look like we're going to get that now, but I'm really interested in seeing how this is going to play out. I like the fact that John, what's his real name? John Osteen, the real name of Dr. Manhattan, the little boy. He was white, but he chose to be a black person. That's kind of cool to me. But man, this is nuts or whatever. And so, even watching the preview for the next episode, it seemed like Angela had some type of assault rifle trying to take down the Cyclops, the 7th Cavalry outside. I wonder if Dr. Manhattan is going to rise to power and just, zap their ass to death or whatever. But it was a great episode. When I first watched it, my jaw hit the ground. I was like, what is going on? But it was really entertaining. So everything I talked about, guys, please help me out in the comments. What did you think about the episode? Did you see this coming? I did not see this coming at all. All I knew before I watched this, all I knew is that there was a reveal of who Dr. Manhattan was, really who the real Dr. Manhattan was, because I was watching another show and some asshole kind of threw it in the chat. or whatever. Like, man, did y'all see Watchmen episode 7 and who the reveal of Dr. Manhattan was? And I was just like, I'm staying off the internet. And I think I watched it later on that night. But great episode, guys. Let's chop it up in the comment section. Let's get this conversation going and keep it flowing. But guys, that is just my opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked the video, please go ahead and give me the thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to the channel. I just hit 16,000 subscribers. Guys, help me. Thank you so much. Please subscribe and help me reach 20,000 subscribers, guys. Can I reach 20,000 subscribers by the end of 2019, the end of the decade? Help your boy out. Also, guys, you can look me up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, okay? The imagery is right there at the bottom of the screen. I got links down in the description box and the pinned comments. All you got to do is just click the link and then click follow, and you helping your boy out. At least help me reach 1,000 followers on Instagram. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget to always chase your dreams, because I'm chasing mine. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.